Was he an unwilling child soldier or a cold-blooded terrorist targeting American forces? Both portraits today painted at a military trial of the youngest detainee at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba as the trial opened. A young man who was 15 years old when he was captured in Afghanistan back in 2002. Our Homeland Security correspondent Gene Meserve is following this case for us. Gene, tell us what we know. What happened today?
Well, Wolf, Omar Kadr was in a Guantanamo courtroom today for pre-trial motions. He entered a plea of not guilty in a case drawing international scrutiny because of the age of the defendant and the location of the trial. Omar Kadr was 15 when he was picked up on the battlefield in Afghanistan 8 years ago. His defense lawyer argues he was a child soldier, unable to make judgments for himself.
Omar Kadr never had a choice. He was told what to do, and he did it.
The U.S. government doesn't buy the argument.
It's legally irrelevant. What you look to is, did he know what he was doing? Was he coerced into doing it? And we'll let the evidence speak for itself.
What is the evidence? The government says it will show that in Afghanistan, Kadr built bombs and placed them along roadways and threw a grenade which killed a U.S. Special Forces soldier. Confessions were coerced under threats of rape and murder, his lawyer told the court. Kadr entered a plea of not guilty. Kadr comes from a Toronto family known in Canada as the first family of terror. His father, a purported al-Qaeda financier, took them to live in an al-Qaeda training camp, court documents say. Last week, one of his brothers was freed from a Canadian jail after being held for 4.5 years on terror charges. Kadr's trial is seen as a test of the recently revamped but still highly controversial military commissions.
Even the various improvements and changes that have been made over the years have not, in our view, turned this into what can be considered a legal process that meets international fair trial standards.
I think the commissions are a fair system, and they're an appropriate process for trying people that are captured during wartime.
This afternoon, the judge ruled Kadr's confessions to interrogators would be allowed in court, but he said the government could not show footage of 9/11. Jury selection in the case is expected to begin tomorrow. Wolf?
All right, we'll have more on that tomorrow. Thanks very much, Gene, for that report. Another detainee appeared in front of a military panel in Guantanamo Bay. The Sudanese man accused of being Osama bin Laden's driver, an al-Qaeda bodyguard, entered a guilty plea agreement. Details of the plea bargain will remain sealed until he completes confinement at the detention center where he's been held for almost 9 years. 178 prisoners remain at Guantanamo. The majority of them, by the way, right now are from Yemen. At the peak, there were more than 750 prisoners from 40 different countries. More than 570 prisoners have since been released. Last year, the White House announced that as many as 100 of the remaining detainees will be moved to an empty prison in Illinois, but no movement on that front.